Here's Wallachia, Reign of Dracula for the PlayStation 4 system. I got this from a company called Pixel Heart, and pretty much this game really feels like a throwback to the old school Castlevania games. Not the Metroidvania ones, but the more level-based ones. I would say this game is more of a run and gun type because of your main weapon is a bow and arrow, which you get upgrades with. You also have a side weapon, which is a sword. I feel like this game more focuses on like range combat, but if you're good enough, you can use a sword to deflect attacks and get close to enemies, of course. I just use it as a last resort. But depending on how skilled you are, that's going to be how effective that weapon is for you. You can tell that the people that created this game are big fans of the Castlevania series. It has an awesome soundtrack, and each level has a cool boss fight. It has little story tidbits too that kind of like help the story along as well. So definitely, if you're a Castlevania fan, definitely pick this one up. Moving Out is a game that really caught me by surprise. I did not imagine this game would be as much fun as it is. So if you guys have played games like Overcooked, you'll kind of know what to expect here, even though this game plays differently. When Overcooked, you have to like prepare meals in a certain amount of time. In this game, you're moving furniture and all kind of appliances inside of a truck. And the thing about this game and how it gets challenging is that you want to try to beat the time limits if you can, but also you have to position the stuff in the truck in a good way so you can keep storing more stuff inside, because what this game does is that if you don't know how to position stuff, that'll slow you down and that'll stop you from getting better times, of course. And I noticed this too, certain levels you go to, they have moving insurance, and I'm guessing some don't. So if a place says it has moving insurance, obviously, you know, you could like make shortcuts, bust windows, and do whatever you can to kind of get the stuff in the truck as fast as possible so you get the golden time. It may sound boring, but trust me, this game is a lot of fun, especially if you have people to play with. Now, this game is not online, unfortunately, so you have to depend on couch co-op. But still, it's very compelling, a lot of fun, and the soundtrack is what surprised me too. I mean, the soundtrack is really on point. I mean, it has some tunes in there. It just feels like it's from the early 90s that kind of like just stick in your head. A Hat in Time. Finally, this game got a PS4 physical release. Alright, so definitely this game is going to win people over with its charm. The game looks great. It's definitely a throwback to, like I said, those other 3D platformers. Now, I played the original Switch version that came out a couple years ago, and the controls on the Joy-Cons kind of felt kind of iffy to me. I don't know if anybody else felt that way, but playing this game with the DualShock controller just feels a lot better. Now, the first world starts you off with a chase sequence. It's actually pretty like easy or whatnot, but this is kind of like help you get used to the controls the game has. So to go over the story a little bit, because I love a story in these type of games, you play as a girl named Hat Kid. I think that's like, they don't ever really announce her name, I don't think. I can't remember. But anyway, she's on her way home in her spaceship, and she goes by a planet, and the planet is collecting a toll pretty much. So an accident happens, and she ends up losing up all her fuel for her spaceship, and she has to go and travel to get it all back. Now, during your journey, you'll meet a lot of friends that'll help you on the way, give you tips on how to beat bosses and stuff like that. Really just like, I want to say, like very nostalgic to like other 3D platforms. I know I keep going over that, but this game is just definitely like a love letter to those type of games. Now, I just want to mention that the PS4 version does come with one of the DLC packs called a seal. Let me see here. What the fuck is it called? Now, the game does come with Seal the Deal DLC embedded on the disc. I wasn't able to access it yet. I don't know if I have to get a certain portion of the game before I access it, but still happy that that co-op adventure is on the disc. And the other DLC that they released for the game is not embedded on the disc. It's not actually here. And I kind of feel indifferent about that because I feel like as long as this game took to come out for the PS4 as a physical, they should have all that stuff ready to be on the disc. But I guess I kind of get it, you know, they got to make that, you know, that money on the DLC or whatnot. So I don't know. I feel indifferent about it, but I'm just happy to have this as a physical. So definitely, I think it's worth the purchase. The game only costs $29, so I think it's well worth it pretty much. Here's Evil Tonight. This is one of my favorite games on the list, and this is a survival action game where you solve puzzles and pretty much try to figure out the mysteries of what's going on in like haunted areas. You usually go into like these mirrors and you enter like an alternate version or a previous version of a certain world, and you deal with like the mysteries of what happened to someone or whatnot there. So it's a really cool game, and it really plays like a survival horror game, but just depending if you want to add the horror to it, if anything in this game scares you. I mean, the most that this game will scare you is like a broken glass out of nowhere, a certain sound effect. Definitely one of the cooler games on this list. Pushy and Pully and Blockland. This game really seems like a homage of a game called Dope Pool by Capcom, if you guys remember that. It's a part of the Three Wanderers set, but it's a puzzle game where you pretty much have to like eliminate all the enemies on the screen and pretty much just continue through the levels. It's really actually a lot of fun, and this game only cost me $2 when I bought it in the store. And as you can see here, the game is really arcade fun, you know. I feel like it's definitely an arcade puzzle game. It's easy to get into and get out of. But I like the fact that they added a little story to it, and even boss battles that are really cool. So definitely, I think this game is worth your time. I think everybody should try it out, especially if you like games like Push and Pull. Like I said, that was from Capcom back in the day, but I don't think anybody's ever played it, honestly. But if you have, this is the game for you. And here is Silence. I've talked about this game throughout the years on my channel, and I don't know if you guys remember, but I actually I did a pickups video on Jason's channel years ago, and I remember his mom had watched that video, and she ended up picking up the game and beating it. So a little bit about Silence. It is one of those games that are kind of like modern point-and-click adventure games, but it's really a good story, and it's actually a sequel to a game called Whisper World. It's actually Whisper World Part 2, but they decided just to call it Silence, and it's about a brother and sister who are dealing with a situation where they have to deal with war, and they are alerted to an attack. And once this attack is happening, the boy has to find his sister and take her to a shelter because he knows what's about to go down. And it's a very dramatic story. It's insane, like what happens and what these kids have to go through. But mainly, it's a story about a brother trying to protect his sister, and they go into a different world, and he is trying to find her. And I don't want to go too much over the story after that point, but I think it's an interesting game that a lot of people would like. It has really good voice acting. The choices that you pick for certain puzzles are not too hard, thankfully, like old school click adventures, but it's definitely something I think a lot of people would appreciate. It's kind of sad a lot of people don't know about this game, but this was on the Switch store, the eShop, for 99 cents. So it was on sale. So I definitely think it's a game that people want to pick up if you're into adventure games. Now, it's not a long game. I remember it took me, I think, around 6 hours to beat it the first time. But what you're going to get in this is definitely an interesting story and interesting characters. So I'm really hoping somebody in the comments will back me up on this one, because I like I'm like the only person that knows about this game, it seems. So hopefully some of you guys will try it out.
Hey presto, the king of silence.
He was a good king.
But he got very sick.
And along with him, the land began to suffer.
Fields withered.
Walls and cities crumbled.
Everything decayed and fell apart. If only the king would recover. 'Cause if he did, so would silence.
Sadwick wanted to bring him an elixir of life, just as an old oracle had foreseen.
John is not old.
Right. She's pretty timeless, actually.
And mysterious. Where's her crystal ball?
Yeah, so there's silence. So hopefully some of you guys will pick this up, because it really sucks when you talk about a game and nobody knows what you're talking about. I hope to bring some conversation to this title. So let me know if you... Alright, so Slipstream is an awesome racing game, and I want to say this is pretty much like Outrun Coast to Coast on steroids. This game is freaking awesome. It has a 4-player co-op mode, of course sit-down co-op, you know, and everything. But man, this game is so much fun, and dare I say it, you know, I think it's a hidden gem, you know, and it just came out. So hopefully we'll get more eyes on this game. It's definitely a lot of fun. It's something else, and hopefully this game will get a physical release too, because it's worthy of that. Like, it's this game was made by one person. It took him 10 years, but one guy made this game, so pretty insane. But anyways, guys, that's all I got for you. Radical Reggie, and I will see you in the next video.